Hello everybody, my name is Zach, and welcome back to Do You Pay the One? Today we're going to be going over the 7 legendaries in Hour of Devastation and rating them from 7 to 1 and their use for Commander. Now, we use 3 things to rate them. Flexibility, how many different decks can you make with that legendary as the Commander? Synergy, how well does it work with the cards in its deck? And individual strength, how strong is the card if it's your only card on the field other than lands and mana rocks. Now for each of those 3, we have a 5-set rating system going from low, okay, decent, good, up to amazing. Coming in at number 7, we have Jeru with Eyes Open. He's 3 and 2 white, Vigilance. When he enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a planeswalker or reveal it, then shuffle your library. If a source would deal damage to a planeswalker you control, prevent 1 of that damage. He is a 4/3. His flexibility is low. He only tutors for planeswalkers, and he's mono white, so he only tutors for mono white planeswalkers, of course. So that's the only deck you can build with him. His synergy with the cards in the deck is decent. He does find planeswalkers upon coming out. He can block and protect those planeswalkers, or his ability can stop really small creatures from dealing damage to or killing them. His individual strength is okay. I mean, if you have nothing else on the field and you bring him out, he'll tutor out a planeswalker for you and prevent a little bit of damage to it. Other than that, he doesn't really do anything else after coming out. Overall, he is a pretty weak commander. He's better as part of the 99 in a multicolor commander deck like a Traxa or a 5-color Super Friends deck. Next up, we have Unesh, Cryo Sphinx Sovereign, 4 and 2 blue for a 4/4 flying. Sphinx spells you cast cost 2 less to cast, and whenever him or another Sphinx enters the battlefield under your control, an opponent reveal the top 4 cards of your library. An opponent separates those into 2 piles, put 1 into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So he creates a mini Factor Fiction, and he does it for your other Sphinxes too. Now you can make 2 kinds of decks with him. You can go Sphinx Tribal, or you can make some kind of control or a combo deck. Now, while those are multiple choices you can make, the problem is as a commander, he's low impact. He does what a zombie does, but just a lot worse. And he's even worse than Brawl or Jace Varin's Prodigy at what he does, considering he's slower, he has to enter the battlefield. And most Sphinxes aren't very good, so Sphinx Tribal isn't really very viable in Commander right now. His synergy is okay. Sphinxes don't really work well with one another to begin with. Sure, reducing their cost, giving you Factor Fictions is nice. It doesn't really provide you with synergy, it just gives you a little bit of value. And his individual strength is also okay. As I've said, a creature that comes out and gives you a Factor Fiction is nice, but it's nothing super amazing. It's not drawing you cards every turn. It's a lot of mana to even get that effect out. It's a one-time effect, and if you get 2 cards you really like, your opponent splits them, you only get 1. And he's really only a 4/4, he doesn't do much. Next up we have the Scorpion God. He's 3, a black and a red. For a 6/5, whenever a creature with a -1/-1 counter on it dies, draw a card. 1 black-red, put a -1/- counter on another target creature. When it dies, return it to its owner's, or when the Scorpion God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Now, he does work well with persist creatures. He can remove the +1 counters from the undying creatures, because those counters cancel each other out. However, his ability costs quite a lot. There's not that many super good persist or undying creatures. There's not that many undying creatures. The good persist creatures are actually in other colors. You have 1 good black persist creature. So his flexibility is only decent. He doesn't work quite so well for control, he doesn't work quite so well for mid-range. His abilities are a bit better than Unesh and Jeru, so that is why he is at number 5. His synergy, once again, it's decent. He can kind of work a little bit with some of these decks, or he can place counters on a bunch of creatures. You can Toxic Deluge. However, it is really slow, and I'd rather just play Promise of Power and draw 5 cards than dump all this mana into that effect. His individual strength, if he's the only card that you have on the field, he can put minus counters on things and slowly kill them. If he dies, you can return him to your hand. He's honestly the least interesting of the 3 gods. As I said, I probably wouldn't actually even run him in a deck. Unlike Jeru, I wouldn't even put him in a commander deck. After that, we have Neheb the Eternal. My second favorite out of the legendaries in the set personally. However, he's only coming in at number 4. He's 3 and 2 red for a 3/4. With Afflict 3, whenever it becomes blocked, an opponent loses 3 life. Keep in mind, if they block with multiple creatures, the Afflict only triggers once. During your post-combat main phase, add an amount of mana to your mana pool equal to the life your opponents have lost this turn. Now, his flexibility is pretty good. You can build either a Voltron deck, just put a bunch of equipments and go for beating face. You can use him as a mono-red ramp to put a bunch of Eldrazi, dragons, whatever have you into play. Or you can build infinite combats, and that combines a little bit of all 3, which is generally the best build for the deck. He's kind of like a mono-red version of Narset in a sense, except instead of casting a bunch of spells with Narset, you just take infinite combats with Neheb, which is basically what Narset does. Now, his synergy is amazing. He is the linchpin for the deck. You need him for the deck to function. It works great with multiplayer. You can damage all of your opponents, either with him or with other creatures in addition to him. Get more mana, take more combats, play more stuff, and just keep going. Now, his individual strength is low. If he is the only card you have on the field, you can swing. He'll maybe, net you 3 mana. Chances are he'll just be blocked unless you're getting him out really early on. Now, the reason why he's at 4 is because he has a very big weakness, and that's if he dies repeatedly, generally your deck's going to have a hard time, functioning without him. But he's still a very strong commander, and you can make that argument for a lot of decks. After that, we have Razakath at number 3. Now, if we were just rating these cards on how good they were, and we weren't going by as commanders, Razakath would be at number 1. I do feel, going into this, actually, that Razakath is also a card that is better in the 99. It is nice to be able to just drop a commander and have it tutor for things. However, Sidisi does that at 5 mana, doesn't require any other creatures out for you to tutor with, and you don't have to pay that life to do it either. Yes, she only does it once. Razakath does it however many creatures you have. Once again, he's in the command zone. You have to pay 8 to get him out. There's no way to cheaply get him onto the field. Alright, so his flexibility is amazing. He's a living tutor. Your deck can be whatever you want it to be. His synergy, that is also amazing. He gets you anything in your deck. There's not much to say here. Your deck can be whatever you want, and you can get whatever you want with it. His individual strength is also good. An 8 mana, 8/8 flying beater. That's strong on its own. 3 attacks with it, and your opponent dies. There's not really much to say here on Razakath. He's a very powerful card. He's a living tutor. However, he's better in the 99. He's in this spot overall just because he gets high scores in flexibility, synergy, and in individual strength. However, he is a bit hard to get out. So I would suggest putting him in the 99 if you are running him. Even if you're running a mono black commander, he's still better in the 99. Coming in at number 2, we have the Locust God. He's a blue, a red, and 4 for a 4/4 flying. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 blue and red Locust creature token with flying and haste into play. Pay 2 a blue and a red, draw a card, then discard a card, and just like with the Scorpion God, if he would die at the end of your turn, when he dies, at the end of your turn, return him to your hand. Now, he functions kind of like Niv Mizzet, except instead of doing damage through an effect, you summon 1/1 flyers that you can swing at people the turn they come out. His flexibility is decent. Well, it's actually just okay, because it's mostly just combo decks. However, there's a bunch of different ones you can build. The main one that a lot of people have built with him, and the main one I thought of with him, is Laboratory Maniac. Just generate a bunch of mana, Skull Clamp a bunch of your dudes. You just need an Ashnod's Altar and a Skull Clamp, and you just start clamping them repeatedly as they've come out. Now that doesn't net you infinite mana, but things like Palancron, Deadeye Navigator, and just, you know, whatever pieces you want to put in there. His synergy with the deck, though, is amazing. He can win you the game he turns out if you have the mana or the combo in hand. And you could draw, if you could draw like 40 cards in a turn, swing all those insects, kill one player off, or even 2 if you've drawn your entire deck with Omniscience Enter the Infinite. And his individual value is also amazing. If he's the only thing you have out, well, you can activate his ability, draw cards, create insects, and eventually find more of your answers. Finally, at number 1, we have the Scarab God. He's 3 a blue and a black for 5/5. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. 2 a blue and a black, exile a creature card from a graveyard, create a cop token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. When the Scarab God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Once again, that last ability is the same as the other 2 gods. Now, his flexibility is amazing. You can build Zombie Tribal, a control deck, a non-zombie Reanimator deck. If you want to build a casual mill deck, you could even do that. He would function like a different version of Lazav, and then as your opponent's mill, you just take copies of some of their creatures. His synergy is also amazing. His first and second ability are great with zombies. Now, not even reanimating your own, you could reanimate other people's creatures as zombies. Works well with your zombie lords, your creatures that get buffs from other zombies being out, from his scry ability and the life loss that he does for zombies being out. You can also just drop a board wipe. He'll return to your hand. You play him again for just 5. If you have the mana, you can immediately start reanimating things. Drop a Training Grounds. His ability is a blue and a black. And you can just use him as a control card as well. Do some board wipes, drop him, start reanimating things. He brings back Glenalundra Archmage, Massacre Worm, Runescarred Demon, all those great cards, even Snapcaster Mages. Standalone value for this card is also amazing. If he is the only card out, he can reanimate other things that are dead. You can scry and make people lose life every turn. And he's a solid 5/5/4/5. So that's my ranking for the legendaries of Amonkhet, how I feel, what I feel that they do, what I feel they do well, what I feel they don't do well. There weren't very many in this set because it was a bit of a small set. Let me know what you guys thought of this as one of our segments for Do You Pay the One. If you like it, I'll continue doing it in future sets or for the Commander set that's coming out. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you in our next video.